Episode 6 starts off with Jazz massaging Griffin, and he climbs on top of Griffin's back. Hashtag gross and ill. Okay, why are Griffin, Sander, and Jeanette talking about how great Jazz's massages are? Like, no, it's a no for me. And then Jeanette tells Jazz he should add "I give killer massages" in his dating profile, and Sander adds with "happy endings." Ew. This scene is weird and creepy because Jazz is straddling Griffin on the table. Sander is talking about happy endings and how great Jazz's massages are, and the twins talk about sex in their confessional. Like, it's a bad combination all around. These people need some sort of boundary. They need boundaries in place, period. And they should really stop talking about sex on what's supposed to be a kid-friendly show last time I checked, but you know, it is what it is. The grandma comes over and Jazz and her look through old family photos, and they talk about Jazz's dating profile and his potential date with a woman named Erin. I believe it's a woman, but you know, we don't know. The grandparents are even confused about Jazz's dating preference, which in my opinion is no preference. It's basically whoever will accept him. Then the grandpa tells us that they just need to be compatible, and the grandma says it's a guess as to who's coming to dinner. And I summed it up to Jazz is confused. This whole conversation sounded like the grandparents were confused, like the rest of America. Then this episode, Jazz packs his bags, heads back to Harvard with the family, you know. And now Jazz knows Harvard all of a sudden is the best place for him. It sounds like Jeanette and Greg had a talk with him when the cameras were shut off, and they told him, hey, listen kid, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna go back to Harvard no matter what. Like, you don't have an option in this. You are gonna graduate from this prestigious school, all right? And you are gonna make us proud because we need this, all right? We need this to let the world know that, you know, you can be trans and graduate from a prestigious school. You can do anything, all right? And to be honest with you, we are not really shocked by this, all right? This is a lifetime achievement award for Greg and Jeanette, okay? The family goes to dinner and Jazz lets them know that he's staying in Harvard and he looks forward to his date, all right? They also talk about how Jazz's transgender friend Nicole was not allowed to renew his lease because his landlord found out he's transgender, but I don't believe that ish not one bit. You know, we always need a storyline and a narrative, and I guess this one is it. Upcoming, all right? They just needed a plot line, or I should say Jazz and TLC needed a plot line to have an event for transgenders under the notion that people are not respecting transgender rights. Jeanette wants Jazz to be safe, of course, because she can't protect him far away. She can't stalk him far away. A few weeks later, Harvard lets Jazz know that someone wants to unalive him, but I'm more inclined to believe that pigs fly. But this is just my honest opinion. Once again, don't come for me. Jazz meets up with friends to talk about the trans event that Jazz is setting up, and bingo, we now find out that Trans Awareness Week is right around the corner, which explains the sudden injustice against transgenders and the need for this event. Just tell us you needed something to close out the season instead of making up some hoopla theory of a landlord not letting you rent there because you're transgender. Like, bro, they want money. They don't give a damn who you're sleeping with or who you transform to be. Like, come on, I don't believe it, all right? Tell me something I can actually believe. Jazz proceeds to tell them about the imaginary death threat and getting bodyguards at the event, and they also talk about Jazz's date. The friends brought up good points of a virtual event or canceling it, but you know, we need a good Jazz conquers storyline, so those were not an option, obviously, okay? Next, we have Jazz and his date at the restaurant, and they talk about being attracted to people and being sexually fluid and all of that stuff that we don't really care for because they keep stating it over and over again. Like, come on, y'all, come up with something new. Let me know, how ironic would it be for Jazz to end up with a female? Like, The irony of that all. To do all of that just to end up with a female. On a side note, when they left the restaurant to go get ice cream and Aaron fed Jazz ice cream, I legit thought Jazz was having an outer body experience with that ice cream. Like, he was getting a little bit, you know, like it was like he was having like some sort of like sensualized, how do I put it? Like, you gotta watch this episode to see what I'm talking about. Like, food is really Jazz's crutch, and from what I just saw right there, it was just doing too much. And then they proceed to talk about how they want to see each other again, and then they share a kiss twice. But I'm wondering why they were trying to open the lock gate and laughing about possibly breaking and entering, which is illegal, by the way. Kind of weird. I will say that Aaron actually seems interested in Jazz, unlike the paid actors that they've had in this show, allegedly, in previous seasons. And like Jazz said, Aaron took the initiative to kiss and make him feel wanted, but that is kind of ass backwards if you ask me, because Jazz is the man in the relationship. Isn't he the one that's supposed to take the initiative? You know, it is what it is. Jazz goes to see Jeanette prior to her leaving Boston, and they talk about how the date went, and then Jeanette worries about the whole death threat thing again, like, hang it up, sis. Jeanette and Jazz are super annoying, and apparently the threat must not be that serious because Jazz is still at Harvard and the trans event still took place, so that threat must have not been threatening. Okay, it must have not been giving what it should have been giving, but you know, we move. It's the day of the event. The people that are there write what they wish for transgenders on a board. They walk around the park with their trans flags on as capes, and Jeanette flies in on her broomstick from Florida in a panic and pretty much arrives just in time to make sure the imaginary threat doesn't happen, I guess. I don't know. Jeanette tells Jazz how great of a job he did and talks about how beautiful the event is, and then Jeanette decides to make this event about herself per usual by saying she wasn't always as confident as Jazz and how she's so proud of Jazz, while giving us sob tears like nobody cares, ma'am. Last thing, Jazz thanks everyone for coming, and Jazz is feeling independent after this summer of dating and overcoming being in his head, overcoming this imaginary threat, overcoming these fake ass plot lines. You know, Jazz is feeling like an overcomer this season, okay? This is the season finale this year, and I'm not sure why they only had 6 episodes. Maybe it's due to Jazz's declining mental health, or it could be due to the fact that people are really starting to see through this show and starting to see through the fakeness of it all and how they see Jazz going down a downward spiral. But for some reason, Jeanette and Greg are telling us it's not due to the surgery. It is what it is. If they say Jazz's mental health decline is not due to the surgery, we are inclined to believe this, but you know, we're really not believing it. And you guys, let me know what you thought about this season. Like, I feel like this season they could have kept it. Like, this season was lackluster. It was kind of whack to me, and it just felt like you guys are stretching this out. Like, no need to stretch it out. If you don't have anything worth watching, just cancel the show. It is what it is.